Lucia Cossu was teacher here with our weekly episode, and it will be the last one for this series. Then we will have a summer stop that you will enjoy, and I'll enjoy also, dedicating to other things in more, I will take some time off, and I will dedicate some intensive time that I could not have during this season, and then we'll get back. I will go on with the PEVoC14 because I know that in that I'm asking a certain leap into your vision. But even if it is totally biological, it is totally into also some practices, because the practices, when they are very good, they synthetically find ways of dealing with what effectively the function, the goal, the activity presents itself into humans that we are. So we go on. Meditation, athlete, non-athlete training, injury prevention. I go back a little, sorry. Much beyond this model that the larynx. And I think we can say that the larynx wants to be mobile, and just yet we see something of a correlation. So I anticipated a look at posture and overall of the body as the environment in which the vocal system can operate and develop. We know it happens also the other way around, but I remain focused on this direction now. First, does voice production react to joint dysfunction far from the vocal tract? Look at this model. It has represented a great point of development since 20 years now in assessment, rehabilitation, athlete, non-athlete training, injury prevention and fitness. And it has grown much beyond this model that is not completely satisfying indeed, yet it is a reference into all the previous. Why I go on with this model? Because this model gives you the idea that we have a body that usually you think with the joints that you want to stretch, you want to make mobile, because you think I need to stretch to maintain the flexibility of the body. And there I again repeat something that to me is really, really central, because it's not so normally thought in that way, and into my practice is so central that you have to visualize. Something I'm realizing with my student is that the problem we have with this instrument is that we use some activities, capacities, muscles that we don't perceive. In usual life and in other sport activities, it happens the same. But, there is a great but, we see the effect of our activations, so we do not mind too much that we don't perceive them. And I could also say that usually you don't realize you don't perceive them. When you want to kick a ball in soccer, when you want to kick a ball in volleyball, when you try to hit in baseball, you don't start thinking, okay, I have to perceive my arm and I have to get with... When you're starting, you just take the stick and you try, by vision, to get with the stick to the ball. You're going later to perfection your movement and eventually look at yourself into a mirror so you can look better, you can see better. Why? Because again, you have a visualization from the outside of yourself that is a reference, and are taking this as reference for gait functions and other measures of human movement. When you play piano, you put your hands and you see the hands. So when you move your finger, you see it moving, and you don't ask yourself if it is moving or not. The thing is, with the voice, it is exactly as you have to try. And while you try, since you don't see, you realize that you don't perceive. Or you perceive something more than something else, and you start trying to take reference to the perception. This is a huge problem, because again, we use mostly, in my hypothesis, but it is quite, I think I have reason to make the case for that, but it's my hypothesis, so you take it as a sort of speculation, okay? Intuition from my training point of view, my expertise into the field, that we use exactly the same patterns, the same movements, the same muscles that are quite explosive. They are those we have acceleration with. I hypothesize that they are the anti-gravity, and also those with which we stay upright, we developed upright, but I will write better about, because otherwise it's just speculation, but you can make your idea if it has some utility for you for singing. And those, you don't perceive their activation. You see the effects of their activation. You kick the ball, or you don't, but your foot is going toward the ball. You start running towards something. You jump, and you see yourself jumping, going up in the air. For singing, we use the same, but you can't see. And since you can't see, you activate a moment, and then you have the voice. When you start in this place in which you feel nothing, and the voice is not yet performing, you sometimes want to do something. And also, you try to do what? To take references on the muscles that you mostly feel. And the muscles that you mostly feel, if you have followed those series, you start understanding that the body works in a quite refined way, very sophisticated, so that when it can, it will not tell you the confirmation that what you're doing is effective. It will give you the alarm when something is getting wrong. You imagine, I'm sitting, it's giving me the confirmation that it's maintaining me sitting, with all that is doing inside to do that, really. I change a little a leg, I change another leg. If it was all the time giving me the confirmation, yes, I activated that into your foot, and then I activated that, could be a nightmare. We have a smarter body than that, and a smarter brain than that, because perhaps something can be perceived, but we are not really interested in perceiving that. So even if it is possible to perceive those precisely, I don't think so. But again, the universe is vast, and I know just my little slice of things. I know quite well, but it's a slice. So all the rest is just an opinion. I have no idea if there are humans that eventually perceive those things. But even if it is balanced, it is correct, it is functional, not to have those sensations all the time. Because we are wired to do something else. I'm doing for you. Perhaps I'm just reading, perhaps I'm just thinking, perhaps I'm just chilling. How can you chill if you have all those sensations all the time, confirming what? That you can go on with your activity by interrupting your activity. Very happy it doesn't happen, and it's not like that. You must be perhaps very anxious or in a state not exactly functional to have something of the kind. But what I mean is, when you see at the model tells you how the body acts, and so you can start visualizing into your head, because it is this that we do. Since the Alexander technique we knew also before, but it was not so explicitly stated, we make a mapping inside of what we can't see of our functions, And if the mapping is correct, the function will be quite correct. So the mapping is something that is part of the learning process. So to see the model is a way to start making a correct mapping into this instrument that for some things lacks of perceptions. Some things, because as we have seen, we have some other hierarchies into the body, which are the survival hierarchies, that govern also organs, hormones, and I can say some muscles and some activations of the muscles. And those are usually called fight or flight. You can just think about survival, hierarchical. If you have the idea how I arrived thinking those things that you will not find in those terms in books yet, but it looks like you will in the future, probably correct in my view, because it's like that when we are pioneering something or innovative. We make the bridge we can do. We see the new place, the new city, that it's the place in which I have my results, because I start as a trainer for singers, as a soloist of quite high level, not specialized, so with many styles that I had to sing in contemporary. And I had to, for that, feel very high level of skillfulness and artistry. Otherwise, I would not have been called anymore. Then I'm doing what? I'm coming back to what is the vision now, and I'm putting the bridge that I can, which is just some rocks on which you can walk, from where is the now vision to this new, more sophisticated, that is going to comprehend the old vision. Okay? So the bridge is not completed. Why? I cannot complete by myself. There will be others coming and completing with their expertise and correcting some rocks that I put into the correct direction, but perhaps not exactly in the perfect place. When you see, I was coming back, when I started with this vision was with the horses. And with the horses, I had the idea that I used to train horses that had become completely dangerous, so dangerous that they wanted to hit you with the feet, that they gave you with their head. They catapulted the head into me. Yeah, they've broken here. They not broken, but I have some scars on the nose, and I've fractured also these other bones there. I fractured both with the head because they were really dangerous. And I had the idea that if I could tap some movements and revert some movements into what are the usual movements of when they are happy, relaxed, affirmative, flirting with a mare or things of that kind. I studied that. I started studying documentaries and books of training and trainers, and I saw that there were some of the lateral movements of dressage and some others. If I could make them those, they would change their reactivity into the situation. It was right. It was correct. So I found the relation in between the mindset and the movement they could perform. With singing, it's a bit the same thing, because we get reactive as horses, because we have to take away the predominance of the sympathetic system, as I've often said, and have enough to make the parasympathetic being able to act into. So in some sort, we decide We don't survive if something happens. Usually nothing happens, and we are well protected as singers. And I think that it has something to do with this biological thing. If you look, they protect us and they make us comfortable with no things are not so nice, we can say in that way, more than instrumentalists. We traditionally know that by doing that, the voice is there. We are not interfering with voice production. And we know that if that is not there, we get stressed at the point that the voice starts having, we don't have the access to the voices if we are a little bit more protected than the others. I have this idea, but I must, as a trainer, I must have some kind of ideas to guide my students. So I was saying the mapping. The mapping is important because it gives you the correct idea, or more correct idea, or not so wrong, to make it possible for your system to do well the function and to act well the function to what effectively you're doing. So that even when you do your training correctly and you don't obtain immediately what you want, because it's impossible to obtain immediately, you will obtain some things. You have something in your mind to say, I've done that, it is happening this, and then this is what I obtain. The more you're able to have a vision about that, the more you're going to be able to navigate your learning process. With this disparity of perceptions, I didn't say that. The survival system, what it does activate some muscles. And since when it activates for survival, it is